Welcome back to the Takeout. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un arrived in Beijing to attend a military parade, that's putting it mildly, with Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin. The procession, and it will have a lot of brand new Chinese military hardware, it's tomorrow, will mark 80 years since Japan's surrender in World War II. There's kind of a revisionist history that China is imposing over this event. And over the past few days, Xi Jinping has been kind of reaffirming ties with Putin and Russia and trying to find new ties, if they're available, with leaders like Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Editor-in-Chief of Foreign Policy, Ravi Agrawal, joins me now. Ravi's a friend of the show. Ravi, always great to see you. This has already been a kind of spectacle in Tianjin with Putin and Xi Jinping and Narendra Modi. It's going to be even more of a global spectacle with this procession and Kim Jong-un's arrival. What do you think the globe is making of this? And are these attachments meaningful for the Trump administration foreign policy?
So I think a lot of this has to do with symbolism, with imagery. And I think Xi Jinping is very clear in his mind that on the one hand, the world is seeing an image of Trump as a bully, of Trump as taking the United States in a direction where it is upending the world order that it helped create, and China, on the other hand, as a more reliable, responsible player that is also able to host these summits and bring countries together in a way that you would have imagined the United States would. So I think that that is very much the imagery that the world is seeing. But all of that said, as much as there are some things that are bringing these countries together, we shouldn't overstate what unites them. There's just as much that divides them as unites them, Major.
What's on the dividing side of this that we should pay close attention to, Ravi?
Well, quite a bit. I mean, for example, India and China, Narendra Modi, who you mentioned, hadn't been to China in 7 years. And that's because India and China have had a dispute along their border for the last 5 or 6 years that has been deadly at times. And that has created all kinds of tensions between the two sides where they didn't even have direct flights until a few months ago. So that is one example of tensions between these countries. And look, there are going to be occasions where it is in their interest to appear as if they are part of an anti-American front or a front that does not believe in democracy. But again, there's a lot that divides them. India is the world's largest democracy. It is not a North Korea or a Russia or a China.
And Ravi, when Russia invaded Ukraine, India sat it out diplomatically, much to the consternation of Americans in Congress and elsewhere who had invested all this time and energy for decades trying to make the United States and India closer, more aligned. And India's passivity on that drove them kind of nutty. China has aligned itself with Russia in Ukraine. How much is Ukraine a backdrop for this particular encounter?
Not as much, actually. I think in China's case, China has been quite clear that it doesn't want Russia to lose, number one. Number two, it has helped Russia in the form of semiconductors and drones and various technologies to actually actively help it win. So has Iran, so has North Korea, all countries that were part of these meetings. India is quite different. India, like many other South Asian, Southeast Asian countries and African countries, has said that, it would be nice to have peace. We kind of see what's going on. We don't like it, but we're not supporting either side. And that would be India's take. It hasn't really thrown its weight behind Russia. Yes, it's bought Russian crude, but India's point has always been it will buy the cheapest crude wherever it can find it. And to be frank, the Biden administration was okay with that. Remember, if India didn't buy Russian crude, it would buy it from somewhere else. And that, of course, would cause all kinds of problems here with inflation.
Ravi, very quickly, I mentioned this parade. It's not just a regular parade. Xi Jinping wants to show the world that China is not just an economic power. It is a serious, advanced, technologically adept military power. How much should we pay attention to that aspect of this?
A fair bit. They're going to show off their might, the numbers, the new technology. A lot of that symbolism is going to be important to the Chinese people. Remember, the audiences in each of these cases are also domestic for all the leaders who are there. That's important. But one other thing to look out for is that this is all marking 80 years since the end of World War II, and China's revisionist history version of this, it played a much bigger role than the West believes it did. And that, too, is another part of this for China and for Russia in its own way to say, look, we're not only important historical players, we're going to be big players in the future as well.
Editor-in-Chief of Foreign Policy, Ravi Agrawal. Always a pleasure, sir. Thanks so much.
Thank you.